So good evening. Hey, thank you for showing up. It must be miserable. Oh my God, precious. I'm sorry. I was a little kid and I remember vividly having my tonsils removed. I was just a little kid. And, oh man, I've had quite a few I've had different surgeries for different things, very major surgery in my life. And I have to tell you, the tonsils were right up there with some of the worst of it. It's just misery. I'm sorry. Well, the thing is, of course, if you want to go on a diet, it's perfect. You just have to have, baby food and, liquid drinks with a straw and, so sorry. Hello, necessary. Being forced to stop talking, not allowed to talk or communicate, that's tricky too. Let me go over here. Hold on. There we are. Good evening. This is TarotLumination. It's Friday night, the 2nd of December. I'm not going to be here too long. I haven't even done an astrodoodle, frankly. Oh, you weigh less than you should already. Oh, that's not good. I'm one of those people. I struggle to keep my weight. I consider I eat very well. And a good mixed diet, healthy, rich. The way my metabolism is, I can't eat too much. I can't eat too little. I get hungry very quickly. I have a very high metabolic rate, and it just seems to burn off. I don't know what it is. So, I guess the good thing, precious, is that it's part of your healing. I'm trying to sound enthusiastic here for you. Thank you, dear Necessary Truth. Thank you for updating me on your joyful event recently. I'm very happy for you. Wow. You're 5'9" and only weigh 134. Wow. Okay, well you're about the same ratio as me, because I'm almost 6 foot and I only weigh 150. So you're skinny, I'm skinny. So yeah, I don't have any fat. I don't have any muscle. There's nothing here. I'm just skin and bones, Oh man. Oh. If I recall, you are a little bit of a smoker, so that doesn't help. Anyway, the reason I'm here is because, I don't know about you, but I felt a really very significant change of energy when we came out of the Scorpio season, and we're now well into the Sagittarius mode. We've got the Sun in Sagittarius, we've got Mars in Sagittarius, and that's going to hard square in and out with Neptune and Saturn, with all the tragedy and stuff going on in the world. And a lot of, let's say, really open, blunt truth speaking is inevitably going to happen. And that's going to be very awkward for some people. There's a lot of people out there in the world who are terrified of the truth, and their whole lives, their whole careers are built on lies. Grandpa Joe, for example. So it's going to be tricky, because there's going to be a big ungluing. There's going to be a big undoing, where everything that's built on fraud, lies, deception, betrayal, theft, corruption, blackmail, coercion, subversion, thuggery, arm twisting, very sick, perverted behavior from one group of people towards another group of people. Unrestricted warfare, for example, using like bioweapons and sabotage, disease, bugs, all sorts of hideous, disgusting things that are all done in secret. And some could say that the United States is the #1 perpetrator of all this stuff. It's well known that, the United States has this glorious, image that it still tries to live up to. But behind the scenes, there are some very dark, creepy stuff that the United States does and has done. And it's kind of shameful, and it doesn't have to be. So I was having a conversation with Love Triber the other day, trying to put into words what I'm sensing, because it was very, very difficult for me to articulate. And I'm still not quite sure how to put it in words. It's something like, how can I do this? Okay, first up, a couple of heads ups. We're going to, over the next year, it's already starting now. It's already started in January 2020. But over the next year, towards the end of 24 and into 2025, we're going to go through massive cataclysmic changes on a global scale. The primary theme is going to be revolution. And what does the revolution consist of? It's a primordial battle between freedom and tyranny. Most people want freedom. Certain people want tyranny because they profit from tyranny at the expense of the free. I have already chosen which side I'm on. I like freedom. Anyway, we're going to be in, right now we're in Sagittarius season. For me personally, this is a moment of relief during the year. I have pretty regular cycles throughout the year as we go through the 12 astrological seasons. The ones that personally are more comfortable for me happen to be Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. And Virgo season. Other seasons I find more challenging. Scorpio season is very challenging for me. Sometimes Pisces season, sometimes Cancerian seasons. Anyway, so when the Sagittarius season kicked in, just, whatever it was, a few days ago, a week or so ago, my body felt a sort of relief of pressure and tension as we moved into this more galactic, wild, open landscape of human experience, as opposed to the extremely compressed, very intense pressure of that Scorpio season, especially with the Scorpio eclipse and the Scorpio new moon and the Scorpio Taurus opposition, putting intense pressure on the global financial system. And it's true. Everything I predicted is true. It's all coming out. You cannot avoid it. Of course, it's not really thrown into your face on mainstream, but if you go if you want to do your homework and just go slightly below the surface, you will realize that the whole of human experience is in deep, deep jeopardy. And the powers that be, the elites, the folks at the very top of the pyramid of power, money, and control, are aware that it's all falling apart because it is their creation, it's their scam, it's their fraud. It's been very, very effective, very successful for about 120 years. And the same business model was adopted by 150 other countries across the world because they realized if we don't play the same game as the US Fed, we're going down. So everybody got on board, and the more and more it evolved, the more and more the elites created more power for themselves by expanding the illusion of what they called money. It's really not money, it's a currency, it's a token, and it's all manipulated. And we've reached a point of no return. And I've been shouting it out global financial catastrophe. Now in America, we are in one of those places that probably have the least awareness, because we're very privileged being at the very, very top of the financial pyramid of this world. Inside America, there's a lot of poverty. People don't like to admit it or talk about it because we're supposed to be the land of plenty, of opportunity and goodness and everything. And there was a time. That is all being eroded. And now we're at a point where you can't avoid it. And you know how I rant on about China. China is literally imploding live in real time. The elites of China, the CCP, are aware that they don't have an end game. They know that it's collapsing. They know it's going to collapse. And they've been very aggressively buying up things like corn, soy, wheat, oil, gas, gold, silver, timber, things of great value that sound very, very boring, but are necessary for life. Because they know that the world is polarizing to the point where China is being ostracized from the rest of the world, by the rest of the world. And so China's economy is literally going this way. It's crashing very badly. There's a lot of extreme poverty there already, and it's going to get a lot worse. Remember, China is built on Marxist ideology. And every iteration of Marxism ends up in death, war, and evil. And this is just another version of it. And the thing is that Marxists can't help themselves. They become enamored with their own power because they realize the hypnotic power of their words. Vote for me and I will save you. You don't need anything or anyone else. I will take care of everything. You can relax now. Okay? And so on and so on. So it's happening now, and the CCP is basically, all its revenue streams are drying up, disappearing, vaporizing, because it's an export-based economy. And they're getting very desperate. Now, the thing about, of course, the Marxist elite approach is that they don't actually care about the death and the demise of their population. They really don't care, because as far as they're concerned, the population is there to be farmed. So just to basically get energy out of other human beings. Hi, Bubba. Bubba, I have to work. I'm doing a little bit of work here. Bubba's getting a little bit snacky. Hold on. Bubba, you want to come up? Okay, come on. Hang out with me. Hang out with me for a little bit. Here we are. So, I want to go through a couple of other things. The Sagittarius season we're in right now, it's going to last a few more weeks, and then we move into Capricorn. Things are going to change again really profoundly. Yes, Bubba, I'm talking into a microphone, and we're live right now. We're live, Bubba. Look over there. Look over there. You want to? So, when the Capricorn season comes in, we're going to have strong emphasis on Pluto in Capricorn, and we're going to have conjunctions. Eventually, the Sun is going to conjoin Pluto in Capricorn, 28, verging onto 29 degrees. Eventually, the Moon is going to come into Capricorn. Eventually, we're going to have a whatever it is, a new moon and full moon. I haven't got my full calendars out here yet. We've got, let's see, the Sun enters Capricorn on the 23rd of December. And then we've got the full moon just a few days later, where the Sun will be in Capricorn and the Moon will be in Cancer. And they will be in the same signs as the big polarity in the United States between Pluto and Mercury. And so my head started to spin when I thought about it. Oh my God. what's happening is the Pluto 29 degree mark, 27, 28, 29 degree mark is being lit up very, very powerfully. It's going to be lit up. It's already starting to illuminate, but it's going to be peaking in a few weeks. And then we're going to have the opposition of the moon. So that'll be a full moon. And that coincides pretty closely with the Pluto Mercury oppositions in America. America's born with Pluto in Capricorn and Mercury in Cancer, very tightly opposed in the money houses. Sorry, in the money houses. The second house and the eighth house. Hi, Bubba. Just let me rant for a little bit more, then I'll take care of you, okay? Don't worry. You don't have to worry, buddy. I love you very much. So, I kept thinking, why is that I can tell it's not just a big deal for America, it's a big deal for the world. And I thought, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. The world wasn't born with an astrology chart. The world came into existence like 4.5 billion years ago, and there was no celestial order that we have today. And so then I thought, what's happening in my brain here? And then I realized, wait a minute. The same astrology that happened on the 4th of July, 1776, which is you could call it the birth date of the United States that we have today. Well, that same chart existed for the whole of planet Earth at that very moment as well. And so I thought, wait a minute, what if I did an astrodoodle? Let's say I go back to 1776 and I did an astrodoodle for that day. And I would say, well, today's a really important day, everybody. It's the 4th of July, 1776, and we just had a Declaration of Independence. Look at the chart. Look at the TarotLumination astrodoodle. Oh, wow, look at that. So we've got Pluto there, Mercury there, we got Sun over here, and so on and so on and so on. And so you get the storyline that was embedded into this, okay, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And inside that storyline was a very profound awareness from the so-called, well, they call them the Founding Fathers, basically the people who drafted up this Declaration of Independence and introduced the Constitution. They realized at the very, very, very core that they are doing something revolutionary. It's never happened before in world society where they had a formal declaration of how things are going to work from now on with this group of people on this piece of land. We're going to call it the United States of America. And we're going to declare independence from the tyranny, okay, that's been imposed upon humanity for thousands of years. We're not going to play that game anymore. We're going to tip it upside down. The government works for us. We have to have a little bit of government to keep things running in an orderly way. Otherwise, we can take care of everything ourselves. We're not stupid. Okay? In other words, free market capitalism and so on. Free market trade. And it's all based on a core understanding at the fundamentals. You have to, for this to work, you have to have good people who believe in something higher than themselves, believe in love, some sort of higher consciousness, spirit, joy, love. And at the core of it is love, the love for family, friends, your animals, your land, and doing the best that you can. And minding your own business. And then the founders also realized that, well, this is such a revolutionary idea. Eventually, the people that we elect into office to do our business for us and then come back to the farms to work, they're going to get addicted to that power while they're in that big white house. And they're going to think, you know what? I'm sick of working on the farm, hanging out in small town America. I kind of like hanging around up here in Washington with a suit and a tie, and everybody thinks I'm really, really important, and I get paid by we the people. You know what? We're going to keep this thing rolling. I'm going to make sure I get reelected. And so you get career politicians. And of course it goes from there. Big corporations start to grow and they knock on the door of the big politicians. They say, listen, I know we live in this place called America and it's all about freedom and everything, but let's be honest here. I could make you rich. I could line your pockets right now if you would just make sure that when you push your votes through Congress regarding the latest farm bills and the latest military and industrial complex bills and the latest automotive bills, the latest power drill bills, and all of that good stuff that keeps the country going, if you vote in the right way to push it through so that the bills pass to work in, well, let's just say it, my favor, you're going to be well rewarded, okay? And so me, the politician, goes, all right, I guess no one's looking. Okay, sure. Give me 50 grand. Give me $100,000 and I'll sign whatever you want, okay? And so that started to happen. And the corruption grew and grew and grew from there. And the founders knew that this was going to happen. They knew that eventually the thing that they elect to represent us, we the people, will become utterly corrupted and evil and tyrannical and become the ultimate enemy within. And they predicted that, and they knew it would happen, and it is happening here today in its full glory. So this is not a new story. Everybody knows this. And the other thing that's built into this is that we have a way to take this down and correct it. But it's very, very difficult to do when the whole system has become systemically corrupt. So what do? Well, America's trying to figure it out right now because there's a tiny handful of people. Actually, there's not. There's about 100 million people of voting age in the United States who are sick of the way it is. And we're going to try and turn it around. And of course, the people that are holding onto their seats are going to do everything they can to stop that from happening. So you get a war. It's a civil war. Freedom versus tyranny. That's it. That's where we're headed. What is the nature? What does that exactly look like? I don't know. Nobody knows. But there's a lot of people who are preparing for that inevitability because there will be a war. It will be a revolutionary war, just like the Revolutionary Wars about 250 years ago. Okay? So I thought, okay, so that's the American astrodoodle chart, 4th of July, 1776. And I thought, well, why is this such a big deal for the rest of the world? I mean, other countries were born, other empires grew and died, grow and die, grow and die, but they don't have the astrology of the United States. So what's going on? Why is what is happening today happening across the whole world? The whole world is now living through the same thing that happened 250 years ago with the United States. And so I thought about that. Whoa, what does this mean? Because we've got 8 billion people now out there. And a lot of them are thinking, we're sick of the system. We're sick of the financial fraud. And we're sick of all the tyranny, the dictators, the monsters, the thugs, the evil so-called leaders, self-appointed leaders. Some of them look very important with fancy suits and ties. Some of them are out-and-out criminal thugs. Either way, it's tyranny. So I thought, okay, all right, so what's the connection here? I'm not getting it. And then I realized, wait a minute. Duh! That astrodoodle from 4th of July 1776 was not just for the United States. It was for the whole of the world. All the people of the world. It's just that it was encapsulated and documented in this thing that we call the United States today. And so here we are, one complete Pluto cycle later, where we have so-called evolved, where the same issues that were in contention 250 years ago are now in contention for the whole of planet Earth. I'm a genius. Basically, I figured out that the same astrodoodle for the USA was the same astrodoodle for the whole of the world at that moment in time. And so there's a reason why we can correlate what is happening inside the United States with our own revolutionary clock at this point of upheaval with our United States Pluto return and how that's affecting the United States. It's because the exact data from the chart from that time is happening today, 250 years later, where the same axes are being lit up. Pluto, 27, 28, 29 degrees, and so on. And so you look at it, wow, it isn't just America. It's the whole frickin' world. It's the whole frickin' world. And so here we are today. It kind of made sense. I realized, like, wow. So, you know how America brags, MAGA, make America great again. We're the best, we're the greatest, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And why is it that so many people want to be here? Why is it? There was a period in time, I have to know, I lived during a certain period where I'm aware of it now, but I did not realize how incredibly wealthy and blessed I was as a human person. And looking back, I can see it. My God, I had so much as a little kid, little tiny kid, born in America. I was a little white kid born in America. Today, it's called white privilege, and I am officially the oppressor of everything else and everyone else in the world. So, that's good old-fashioned Marxism. That's the latest iteration of Marxism. Oppressed versus oppressor. Apparently, white conservative Americans are the oppressors. Apparently. I didn't know that until very recently. And they are the cause of all the problems in the world. I don't believe that at all. I believe we have freedom of choice. We can make decisions. There are people born in real poverty that know how to be happy. They're happy anyway. They know they're poor, but they find ways to be happy from inside. There are people who are born with tremendous privileges, and they are bitter, vicious, nasty, mean, evil people. Believe me, evil is real and it's out there, okay? I'm sure you're aware of it today in real time. We are seeing evil propagated across planet Earth right now because the elites, the tyrants, realize that they are facing into this war. There's the tyrants, there's only small numbers of them. It's probably just a few million. But they're facing off against 8 billion other people who are sick of the tyrants. I don't think anyone knows how this is going to play out, but it's completely splintering the whole world. Tectonic shifts, massive evolutionary leaps in the human experience, okay? So, I don't know why I never thought about it before, never talked about it before, but the 4th of July 1776 is symbolized and documented here in the United States, but the concept applies to the whole of planet Earth. At the time that this was done, they didn't have, jet planes flying everywhere, trains and submarines and ocean liners flying all over the place and going. people had very insular lives. Most people were born, lived, and died within 100 miles of where they were born. And that's how it is. So it was a very, very big deal when this came into existence, when the United States was born. And they made this declaration to the rest of the world that this is how it's going to be from now on for us. And it created an amazing phenomenon that never existed before, because people wanted freedom, but they never really had, I would say, an evolutionary opportunity or a level of awareness to actually formalize it and put it in digestible, understandable words that made sense to the common person in America at that time. Now, here we are, 250 years later. This little thing this is what's standing between us and tyranny. This little thing here. It's just a document, okay? I have it in the studio here. Everything. And the language sounds archaic, but it is still very pure, and it is the law. And what happened as human experience grew over the last 250 years, but in the last, well, from 1776 roughly till about 1930, 40, 50, in the 20th century, there was just a massive explosion of evolution for human beings. And I correlate that with Uranus coming into play, and eventually Neptune, and eventually Pluto, all happening simultaneously. So we had these, they invented things like air conditioning, airplanes, cars. They started using coal, oil, gas, and so on and so on and so on, internet, and so on. And as more and more populations got interconnected across the world, and we had completely globalized economy, a lot of people realized and looked to America as like, holy geez, man, I wish I could live in America. I wish I was born in America. I live in a shithole, and it's not fair. Okay? And so a lot of populations started to adopt this thing, because it is a very valuable and it's very deeply cherished right now. But again, this thing is the enemy to the tyrants. This thing is the enemy. And people who want freedom abide by this. People across the world have drafted their own similar types of constitutions to tell their population, we want to live like the Americans. We want freedom of speech. We want the right to protect and defend ourselves. We want a free market, open economy. And then the politicians say, oh, no, you can't have that. Listen, don't worry about all that stuff. That's just, vote for me and I will save you. Okay, don't ever forget that. Okay, so we still have a big problem there today. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to is that this isn't just an issue for the United States anymore. This is a huge issue for the rest of the world. We are the only country in the world that is written in here that freedom of speech and the right to protect and defend ourselves from enemies, both foreign and domestic. And right now, by far the most dangerous enemy is the enemy within, right here in the United States. I could point fingers, but I would get in trouble. I'm already in a lot of trouble. Okay, I'm going to flip to the stage in a minute. Here we go. I just want to do this quickly. I'm not going to stay here long. I'm not doing any readings or anything, okay? I'm just having a rant. Okay, so here we are. We just came out of November. This was all the stuff we talked about with, financial crisis worldwide. Yeah, and that's what's happening. Yep. And now we're in Sagittarius season. Okay, it's a little bit more optimistic. And eventually we're going to enter into Capricorn season, where things are going to start to get extremely serious for the United States. So, one thing I wanted to mention is that right now in the charts, if I did an astrodoodle, you would see that there are lots of trines and there are lots of sextiles. What does that mean? Well, it kind of makes things a little bit more smooth and comfortable than they have been. You know, when I show you my big red lines and big red triangles and big red squares, that usually indicates a lot of tension. So we do have a little bit of the red ink, but it's not severe because we've kind of gone through those chapters right now. So things might feel a little bit more gentle and relaxed at the moment. However, it's going to change, because within a matter of weeks, we're going to get into the Capricorn axis, and that's going to light up Pluto in Capricorn, okay? Oh yeah, Love Triber mentioned, yeah, and we got Mercury retrograde. So right now, a couple of days ago, Jupiter is going direct. So that can lift up spirits, okay? Oh, sorry, I'm in November. I'm in December here. So in a few days, sorry, I was talking about Neptune. In a few days, Neptune is going direct. So guess what's going to happen? It's going to become extremely obvious about all the crime, fraud, deception, betrayal, lies, theft, bribery, corruption, subversion, coercion, just all the crime, especially high up in government and high up in finance, okay? It's going to be right out there in the open, and there's going to be consequences because Saturn is right here in Pisces at the 1-2 degree mark, okay? So, for example, in America, things could get very, very uncomfortable for Grandpa Joe and his gang. He's probably the biggest criminal in American history, and I'm hoping that he gets due process and found and made accountable. He's got a lot of blood on his hands. Anyway, so we got a lot of trines, we got a lot of sextiles, so we might as well enjoy it while we can, because things are going to get very tough when we get into the Capricorn season. And then we're going to get into the Aquarius season just in a matter of weeks, okay? So at that moment, we are going to be actually crossing the threshold from Pluto in Capricorn. Okay, can you see this right here? By the end of December, we're going to be in Pluto in Capricorn at 29.20 degrees. So for the whole of December and January, we are going to reach the crisis point for Pluto in Capricorn. So that Pluto in Capricorn is going to translate into the crisis point for the elites, the oligarchs, the plutocrats, the tyrants, the theocrats, the monster thugs that run some of these countries, all the communist countries. It's going to be very, very obvious that the average population is not interested in the tyrannical agenda. It's going to be on full display. At the same time, the status quo of the elites, for example, the United States Federal Reserve banking system in America, is going to be under intense pressure to try and keep itself going while everything is effectively collapsing. Now remember, when we get into the Aquarius season, that's also going to happen simultaneously. We're going to get Sun, we're going to get Moon, eventually Mars and Venus and Mercury, all whizzing through Aquarius in a matter of weeks and months, okay? So that's going to trigger Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees, okay? It's going to be a crisis point. It's going to be the energy of crisis, chaos, revolution, okay? So just brace yourselves. In some ways, it's very, very exciting because it's the shout. It's the real time where the word freedom becomes fully emblazoned across the world media. The thing is, the world media is essentially a tyranny, and they don't like this thing called freedom. They want to the tyrants want to tell you what to do and how to do it. And we, the people, like to be free. So anyway, I just want to rattle a few things here. Please, stay strong through the Capricorn season. Take it very, very seriously and trying to figure out how are you going to get through the next year. Because finances are going to be very tough. Politics are going to be very tough. Very, very serious. It's the election year. We've got the primaries in America and so on and so on. And every other country on planet Earth is convulsing in harmony, in resonance with the United States and the implosion of the United States. Okay? It's happening simultaneously because the whole world is now embedded with the Pluto return of the United States. So right now, live in real time, the Chinese economy is imploding, literally imploding. It's catastrophic what's happening. So much poverty at such a speed. I don't know what's going to happen, but they've got huge stockpiles of food, but they can only keep that going for so long because the actual financial aspect of China is imploding. So I don't know how that's going to keep going. Of course, you know they're planning for war, and Mr. Ping has already issued, he's given notice to the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people, prepare for war. Prepare for war. Now the thing is, they've never been to war in the way that we know about war in the United States. China, I mean, they've had a lot of warfare over thousands of years, but they have no experience in the kind of warfare that we know about in the United States. So it's going to be a very, very rough time. If they actually turn into a hot war and it gets very ugly and nasty with guns and bullets and all of that, it's going to be very, very ugly. The thing is, they can't help themselves because China, it's all about the ego with the tyrants. In order to satisfy their ego and their lust for power, money, and control, they have no option but war. It's the only way they can express their power and control at this point because the whole economy, the whole country is collapsing and imploding. And Mr. Ping is now, he has a target on his head right now. Because who do you blame? Okay, in the United Kingdom, there's about a dozen cities that are going bankrupt. They don't collect enough taxes or revenue to run the traditional city functions anymore. In the United Kingdom, hundreds of bank branches are closing because they can't keep it up. They can't afford the rent, they can't afford the staff and the crew, and the internet's taking over. This translates into poverty. Okay? Poverty here, poverty here. The United States, we're the least to feel it, but we are trapped in our own vicious net. The net was designed and created by the United States Federal Reserve in collusion with the U.S. Treasury and the federal government. And the net is starting to wrap itself around the tyrants. And they don't know what to do. They literally... Jerome Powell was caught on video on a snippet the other day by a random thing where somebody said, well, what are we going to do down the road? You know, we've got this, you're going to hold steady with this interest rate and print a little bit more or less of money, blah, 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 blah. But what are you going to do next year? And then Jerome Powell said, actually, I haven't really thought that far. It's ridiculous. Okay, the next thing that really struck me, Dr. Steve Turley, he is an advocate for freedom, and he is a very successful speaker on YouTube with millions of followers. He is now demonetized. YouTube has demonetized him. Okay? They're trying to shut him up. Okay. Elon Musk, the big corporations that spend a lot of money advertising on Twitter have basically said, Elon, you have to do what we tell you to do about the type of posts and tweets that go on your X platform. And then Elon said, oh, so you think, oh, you're going to take away your advertising money. Oh, you're going to scare me? Oh, okay. So you think you can blackmail me by telling me, like, if I don't do what you say, Elon Musk, if I don't do what you say, you're going to stop advertising with me? Well, go fuck yourself. That's what he said to them, live on camera. Okay? It's all over the internet. He told them face to face, go fuck yourself. So I was very encouraged by that, but it's still very, very frightening. You have to understand, Elon Musk has Mars in Aquarius, okay? So he's an active, very vital revolutionary. He's like a freedom fighter, okay? Mars in Aquarius is the freedom fighter. That's Elon Musk, okay? Newsmax is a very conservative, common sense type of news channel. It's being heavily choked on YouTube now. And of course, you also know the Epoch Times. It's a fantastic source. They've been demonetized for 2 years. And guess what? I am now proud to announce that I've just had more deletions and demonetizations on my own TL channel. Yay! Anyway, I kind of said what I wanted to say. I've just taken delivery of my new ephemeris for 2024. I got to tell you, there's some real shockers out there. Serious, serious shockers. You want to brace yourself. Of course, the Aquarius season, that's February-ish around. Think of it as the Aquarius season. Brace yourself for tremendous upheaval. Also, I got a few calendar dates that I should make videos about for 2024, but when we get to the actual election on the 5th of November 2024, please brace yourself for revolution, okay? I'm just giving you a heads up. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for listening to my rant. I hope it helps you in some way or another. I didn't read hardly any of the chat. I hope you had fun chatting with yourselves, okay? I hope you choose freedom. It's very, very difficult to stay free. It means you sometimes have to make very, very tough choices. Because the tyrants are very, very clever at what they do and how they do it. Remember, they basically own and control everything. I did my videos about them. They own and control everything. The thing they can't control is your heart, your soul. They can control your brain, your mind, that's for sure. So you got to be very, very careful, okay? Please be free. Please choose freedom. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to just fade out here very, very briefly here, okay? Thank you for listening. I'll keep the chat on for a couple minutes while we all say good night and goodbye, okay?